Today I'm talking to Grainne in County Westmeath. We've placed a live-in care with Grainne's uncle. Hello Grainne, how are you today?
I'm good, Tom, thank you.
Grainne, what were the circumstances that led your family to contact AL Home Care?
I was helping my mother and my brother look after my uncle. He is a bachelor and we were his next of kin. He has Parkinson's and he's had a history of having strokes, which he had been coping quite well with both, but he had got to a stage where both of his illnesses had progressed to a level where he wasn't able to look after himself safely. However, he is still mobile and he has still got a level of independence, but he just wasn't safe on his own all day long. And he also wasn't able to avail of respite services because there was a lot of pressure on us. Every day we all had to rally around and help do things and bring him for appointments. And we didn't have that time, especially with COVID. And my mother wasn't able to mind him as much as she used to be. So we decided then as a family, we had looked at the different options for him. And one of them was residential care, like a nursing home, or the other option would be to stay in his own home. And as a family, we wanted him to stay in his own home for as long as possible because he had so much independence still. So we thought we'd look at a live-in carer.
And how did you hear about AL Home Care?
A friend of my mother's had a carer from you, and she recommended the agency. So I Googled you. Great old Google was able to give me plenty of information, and then I contacted you yourself, Tom, and that was how we started the ball rolling, really. We knew what we wanted, I suppose. We knew we had specific requirements. We wanted a carer who could speak really good English and who was able to drive. We didn't specify that we needed loads of previous experience because I know myself from being involved in recruitment, sometimes you have to broaden what your criteria is. So we were given a few profiles from yourself, Tom, and then we saw a carer that appealed to our family, and we had two Skype type interviews with her because that allowed us to meet her and for her to meet us as well, which was very important that we'd have that connection. And we got to have a proper interview and establish that she had a good level of English, that she was able to drive, that she was happy to come and live in the countryside in Ireland because it's very remote where he lives, and that she understood then that she'd have access to a car, and we were able to tell her what we needed from her. And she seemed through the interview that she'd be able to meet those needs. So that's the process.
And what difference has it made in your uncle's life and in your family's life to have a live-in care from AL Home Care?
Well, I suppose the priority was that he had stability. Agnes lives in the house with him. She's there every day. She's very kind, good person. She's very attentive, and she got to know him quite quickly, and they developed a good routine, the two of them. So, and she's good company as well. So that's the difference, I suppose. It's the stability, and that he was reassured that he was living in his own home, and he had somebody there that was looking out for him the whole time. And it was also balanced with that us as a family, we were still visiting most days, and both Larry and Agnes could pick up the phone and ring us still if they needed us, but they just didn't depend on us as much. He didn't depend on us as much. So it made us easier for us. He is also in receipt of HSE home help twice a day. So that is still in place, and it allows Agnes then the time for, looking after a house, housekeeping, shopping, and it was great that she drives and she can take him for all his hospital appointments, because that was time consuming, or she could do the video appointments online for him. She's very tech savvy, so that was great.
And Grainne, what advice would you give to a family who might be struggling right now with the care needs of an elderly relative?
You need to ask yourself why you're considering a care instead of a nursing home or a residential care unit. You need to assess the person you're thinking about getting care for. You need to nearly write out a list of what you want that person to do, and then be able to contact Tom, and go through your requirements and then see if you need, will one carer be enough? Will a carer and yourself be enough? There's lots of options there for you. It's a very practical solution and we're very pleased with it. Once you have a common sense, realistic approach to what you want, and you have to be realistic. I mean, a carer mightn't be able to do everything and she can't be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you have to take that into consideration as well. But once you make a balanced, informed decision, I would highly recommend a carer. It's a really good option for your relative. And the application process is very simple and definitely I'd recommend it.
And my final question, it's fairly common that an elderly person will resist the idea of having a live-in care. Did you find that to any extent with your uncle?
No, it had got to a stage where he knew that we weren't able to be with him as much as he needed us. So the options were residential care or a carer, and he hadn't considered a carer as an option until we suggested it to him. So we listed the benefits of having one, and he was happy to agree. And we also told him that it's a trial. It's not. It wouldn't be forever if it didn't suit him. There was a 1 month, I think it's a 1 month option, for the carer to see if she'd like living there and for him to see if they'd get on. I know if a relative isn't prepared to listen to you about the option of a carer, I've found in the past that sometimes if you have somebody a bit removed from the situation, like a public health nurse or a GP, they could explain the options for you. So they can tell you or give a good overview of why a carer is needed and talk about the solutions available, which is good. Yeah, it can be good and it can help sort out the problems, having somebody independent, someone outside of the home. They can have a bit of a wider view of what's going on sometimes as well.
Well, thank you so much, Grainne, for joining me today and telling me about your family's experience of having a live-in carer. I'm very glad to hear that it's working out for you, and I hope it will continue to be successful. And thank you so much, Grainne, for your time.